Hi, my name is Hallie Schraus, and my company is Hematech Solutions. So, in healthcare, a critical challenge is the inconsistent availability of essential blood products due to irregular donations. Hematech Solutions is pioneering a shift from donation-based to self-sustaining blood processing. This revolutionizes reliability and accessibility. This innovation expands the production of key blood products in vitro, eliminating the reliance on donors. This transition ensures a consistent supply, benefiting patients in need of urgent transfusions, cancer therapies, etc. Join us in reshaping the future of blood processing and transfusion for healthcare systems that save lives and enhance medical practices. So, Module 3, I will say this past week I was able to go to a blood conference in Miami. It was a Cord Blood Connect, Cord Blood conference with my company. And I was able to learn a lot about the clinical side and kind of what the needs are, but we'll get into that. So, what is your assumed customer lifetime value? Are there any proxy companies that would suggest this is a reasonable number? So, assumed customer lifetime value is characterized by its long-term and ongoing nature. So, this demand for our product remains steady as long as there is a need for blood products. The primary concern regarding customer longevity revolves around the introduction of maybe a newer, superior product that could generate increased revenue, increased profit for a company. So the main concern is if something comes along and it seems to be better, more profitable, then a company can be quick to change their process and kind of drop your company, losing customers. As long as you're staying up to date with newest technology and advances in science, hopefully this won't happen, or you'll be able to prevent this from happening, you making those newer, better products. An example of a current proxy company, kind of, is Miltenyi. Miltenyi specializes in isolating blood cells, specifically for clinical applications. It is the sole magnetic cell isolation system that has received clinical approval and enjoys probably extensive usage on the market, considering it's the only one currently. They did get a special pass, so by the FDA. I can't remember what it's called. I'll just look it up. But you're not able to use them as a company. If you're wanting to kind of follow in their path to clinical, you can't use them as a proxy company. Successfully replacing a company such as Miltenyi would represent an immensely lucrative opportunity for Hematech Solutions, potentially leading the industry in providing available blood products clinically, which is a huge market. I mean, it's as big as the healthcare industry. People get transfusions all the time. People get cell transfusions, blood therapy, chemotherapy, and so whenever you go through chemotherapy, they might want to do stem cell therapy to help gain your immune system back. Channel incentives. Does your product or proposition extend or replace existing revenue for the channel? So since there's no intermediary involved in this process, the significant increase of revenue would primarily benefit the user. So there's really no distributor. Hematech Solutions would manufacture and distribute the product to blood banks, who is the end user. So they would be the primary benefit at the end of the day. They would receive the additional product, revenue, etc. They would then sell it to hospitals and other entities. So you could either use this as a clinical system, or you can use it for research purposes. So you could sell it to academia, universities. So what is the cost of your channel and its efficiency versus your selling price? So I currently do not know kind of pricing. I know what the current systems cost. I know Miltenyi is almost $1 million if you kind of put in all the things that you require when you purchase this CliniMax, this clinical system. So it is a very expensive system, what they're currently using. And if we're able to replace that with a much cheaper price, more cost effective, thus increasing revenue and profit on their end. Also making a profit on ours. That will be great. I'm still kind of looking into what the COGS would look like when creating a product like this. Of course, this is science that hasn't been researched and developed at this point. I mean, there is research backing it up. There is materials that we could read, and I've spoken to engineers, but really understanding the COGS that would go into making this product is pretty extensive. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more of like a better idea next week going into module 4 of what the cost would look like and what the selling price would look like, thus knowing kind of our revenue and our profit. So hopefully we can get back to that. What are the barriers to entry? So this is a big one. So when you're looking at anything clinical or biotech, the primary obstacle to entering this sector is substantial capital requirements. Developing a market-ready product in period, whether it's clinical or not, entails investing millions of dollars and dedicating years to rigorous research and development. Furthermore, the timeline and financial commitment increase significantly when you're aiming for clinical adoption. So there's varying degrees of complexity depending on whether it's categorized as level 1, 2, or 3. Clinically, 3 being the least vigorous, and 1 being, okay, this is kind of life or death to the patient. So something that might be in the patient, keeping them alive, that would be considered a level 1. So the biggest barrier is capital, and that's why there are not a lot of competing companies within the sector, because you have to have investors that are willing to invest millions of dollars, and with the chance of knowing that the science may not work. You know, you can't force science, you can't force ideas to work. You can, but it's not a lasting company if you do. So definitely time and money. Time is money, so money and money. What kind of initial feedback did you receive from your users? So I spoke to people at this conference. I've spoken to a few biomedical engineers and general business people that have kind of knowledge within this sector, especially the blood donation sector. Feedback I've received regarding Hematech Solutions overwhelmingly highlights the tremendous business potential and the transformative impact it could have on the industry and in healthcare. During the recent blood conference I attended in Miami, there was significant discussion about this type of technology. What does it look like to reduce the need for donors, to maybe replace this kind of unknown aspect of the process, thus being the donations? And so it's clear that is a path that is being researched and people are looking into. I mean, it makes sense. It's almost like, but it seems like the biggest hurdle that this is going to be is the science behind it, the research and development required to bring this innovation to fruition. I think there will be a lot of scientific hurdles, and it really is going to be dependent on cell type or product type. So your expansion protocol will be completely different for platelets as it will be for stem cells or natural killer cells. So honestly, it may look like multiple different products, and that's just really dependent on what the science behind it looks like. Did anything change about the value proposition or customer/users? While my value proposition remained unchanged, I must note that my timeline and financial requirements have expanded significantly due to my exploration of the clinical pathway for this product. So if I was just going for an R&D, RUO, research use only product, it's pretty much as quick as getting the R&D done, getting manufacturing set up, distribution set up, and getting people to buy it. Whenever you get into the clinical aspect of this sector, you have the FDA, you have to meet, clinical expectations, you have to go through validation testing, et cetera, which takes millions and years. The heightened level of rigor and complexity associated with the clinical development has led to an increase in both time and financial resources needed to bring this product to life and to make it a reality, for sure. So that's where we are. I'm excited. I'm excited to learn more about kind of the costs associated with it and hopefully getting some numbers.